Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of the Secret Cantina podcast. I have with me today Michael Conroe, fresh off his top 8 at the Galactic Championship, and Andrew Strauch as well. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good. Good. How are you?
I've been playing a lot of Riftbound. I'm sorry, not Riftbound, TFT, and a little bit of Riftbound. We've been on our anti Star Wars grind, and by anti I mean just anything but Star Wars, and that has to end because we have a PQ this coming weekend, which we'll talk about. But Michael has been playing Shadowverse. Wee woo, wee woo,
You
wee
didn't
woo.
have to put me on blast like that. I was going to pretend like I was playing Star Wars.
Isn't your favorite card in that game like something Amy or something, or Andy?
Anna and Greya,
That
if
one.
we start talking about that, it's going to be a 50-minute podcast where I just rant about Shadowverse, so move past it.
Yeah, it's probably best. This is a Star Wars podcast, not a Shadowverse. So, but yeah, so what we're gonna talk about today is we're gonna talk about the Galactic Championship as we've just come back from that, and by just I mean it's been about a week. We're gonna talk about the meta, how we feel about it, as well as some more information about the organized play system and limited introductions. So let's go ahead and start with the main event. That was a week ago. I had a great time. It was in Las Vegas. If anybody didn't know, um, it was at the Venetian. The venue was amazing. Just like going into that event, uh, I think a lot of us had pretty low expectations for that event just because we've seen like the regionals and the sectors, and they weren't anything special. And so I think I know for myself I didn't have high expectations going in, but man, when I walked through that door and I saw the giant TIE fighter and the stage, I was like, holy smokes, man, this is awesome. Um, how'd you guys feel? Like, what was your like going into that? How'd you feel? Start with you, Andrew.
Yeah, it was exciting. There were a lot of people there, and it was cool to see everyone hang out. And yeah, they definitely went all out. I mean, the stage, like all the vendors, like the side events was kind of like a cluster, but they did a better job organizing it like as the weekend went on. But they actually had like a lot of people that wanted to do the side events, which was cool compared to like I guess like the regionals and sectors had some, but this was like people went like just to basically play in the side events, which was interesting. I'd never been to an event like quite this size. So that was really, really fun. And the pricing was much better than the sectors and regionals pricing that we've kind of been accustomed to. So that was pretty nice as well.
Yeah, for sure. How about for you, Michael?
Yeah, no, I mean definitely the same thing that you said. Like I feel like when you walk in the doors, like you look to the right, there is the big TIE fighter, and later there was the X-wing and stuff, and you look to the left, and there's probably like the coolest stage I've seen at a pro level event from all the like Fab Pro Tours and stuff. And like I think this might be the single like best event that I've been to in my card game playing career, at least in terms of all the stuff that they brought, and like there was a lot of random activities there. Like we played some random deck building games. They had like a board game rental station and stuff. Like I think if I'm going back next year, this time I didn't buy my wife like a admission pass because like oh well she doesn't want to stand around watching a bunch of nerds play cards. But like
Yeah.
I mean there's enough stuff in there, and like there was like the chill out zone and stuff that if I go next year I'd probably just buy her a pass and she could hang out in there if she wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll say related to that, if I could jump in real quick.
sure.
My wife, Amy, went with us, and I did get her a day pass. She likes to draft occasionally, so she was like interested in like doing a couple draft pods, and I was like, yeah, cool. So the when everyone was playing the day one of the main event, I did a couple draft pods with her, and so it was very strange, like the way they had to organize the first day. It was just like lines of people, and it was they had like pieces of cardboard with like handwritten signs at the front of said lines. So you like go and one would say like draft sealed, win a box, da da da, and then you have to like go back and try to find out where this line terminates or whatever. And so we finally got in line and got it sorted out, and they moved us around like 5 different times, and the draft line was like really short. And so we get up to the front, and there's like a couple Australian guys I was talking to that came over here from Australia, and they were super nice, and they're talking about how they won PQs, but they don't have like regionals over there or whatever. And then we see Sip and Benton, and so our pod, and we sit down, and this pod Amy has to play in is Sip and Benton, and Benton obviously won the whole event for anyone that doesn't know that. Uh, Two guys that flew here from Australia that were individual PQ winners from different parts of Australia. Me and then two other guys that have like top forward like multiple PQs or something. And she was just like, "This is bullshit." But
She's just get her into games and stuff. Limited PQ right there. Sign her up.
yeah, but no, that was just a very funny anecdote. Like she's like, "Man, I just got blasted," and then like later I was like, "Well, we did get blasted by the guy that won the whole event, so it makes you feel a little better." But
For sure. Yeah, the whole event, like going into it, and like you said, all the stuff that was outside of just the event. One of my favorite areas was the lounge where it had like the TVs. Um, that was
yeah,
awesome.
oh
Absolutely
yeah,
awesome. I do wish that that was kind of a little bit different, just because like some of the seats were not facing the TVs, and I felt like all of the couches should just be facing the TV, or where
mm,
everybody can like see it, or put like TVs on the other side. So that way there's like two pairs of TVs on both sides so people can watch them, or if you're going to do something like that. There were like beanbag chairs in that area. I thought that to me that was like one of the coolest things outside of like the X-wing, the TIE fighter, the Millennium Falcon cockpit, and there was some other stuff. I think there was like some droids running around. There was the blast doors. There were some stormtroopers. I thought they did. I thought it was really awesome. And that's not even talking
Yeah.
about like the main stage, which was really cool. Um, I do really think they made it feel like a world championship. Like it felt like a major event. It didn't feel like, oh, this is just a card game tournament. It felt like almost close to a con. Not quite, but it felt closer to a con than like a card tournament for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I know one of the things that we were going into, and a lot of players were very down on, was the prizing, because none of us or a lot of us have seen the prizing market for regionals and sectors on the promos, and it's just like not really been a whole lot for those types of tournaments. But I think coming out of the tournament, the prizing was really good. I shouldn't say really good. It was way better than what I thought it was going to be. Um,
Yeah, exceeded expectations for
by a
sure.
lot, yeah. The black and silver packs I think were great ideas. Um,
Yeah.
the black packs were awesome. I Some of the cards I kind of wish weren't in there, but I think that's still fine. Like whoever makes those choices, I'm sure they have a reasoning for it, for their choices. Um, but I really those were I was selling those for the group that people when we had them, we were just selling them around, and those were going like crazy.
Yeah.
Um, what else about the pricing? I know top eight. You guys had some. It seemed like if you made top 16 or top eight, your pricing was ludicrous. So
Yeah, I mean, making it to the top 64 was a big deal because the lightsaber boxes, if you wanted to sell them, you can get, I've seen anywhere from like 1,000 to 2,000, right? Which is a nice payday for that.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, top eight, we got like a full playset of the Black Pack promos, which was cool. Um, Also, if anyone wants to buy those, message me on Discord. I still have those. Um, but no, I mean it's definitely a lot better, and I feel like that it almost sucks going back and looking at like the PQ pricing now, because it's like what a world of difference it makes to include good cards. Where like
Yeah.
you can open a Darth Vader in a silver pack, and then we're going to go win a PQ and get a Darth Malik, which no one really cares about, right? And like I know there's only so many good cards per set, but it's just unfortunate. I
Yeah.
mean, I could use some promo Caddy Moondies from one of these events or something, right?
Yeah.
some promo force throws to remember this format by. You know, I
Um,
yeah the promos. I don't know. I wish they. I loved the promos for Worlds, like the artwork for them, the
yeah.
borderless, like at the top it has like it says like Galactic's 2025, just that type of card and everything, and even the foiling. If people haven't seen them, the foiling is great. They look so good. Um, if we could get something akin to that for the like even if just sectors and regionals, right? Like showdowns and like your PQs, maybe those can be the same like kind of things they are, but sectors and regionals need to be like black and silver pack type cards. Like we can't, or even like the day one and day twos, like those are really cool, but I wish they'd be serialized rather than stamped because we don't know how many stamped cards exist from print runs or test print runs and all that stuff. So like I could see that being like a problem, but it's one of those interesting things that I do think that the sector and regional pricing needs to step up, and PQ and Showdown feels somewhat adequate, but the card choices need to be better. Malik is not. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's not hitting the same way that like if that was even just Obi-Wan, like the 3/5 Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon or I don't know, pick like something in this current set, Keller and Beck, like just any of those cards, right? Like if it was something like that, Mundi, right? Like you want your playset of stamped Mundis, something Mace Windu's, those cards, I think would hit like way better personally. Um, so we've talked a little bit about the prizing and the main event and all stuff. Um, Briefly I talked about this I think with Sunny and Duncan, and we were talking about like the venue. Um, is Vegas the right place? Do you think there are other places that are potentially more interesting? How do we feel about like going back to back at the Venetian? I think we're even doing back to back to back. I think the next 2 years are going to be there, from what I understand. Um, Duncan had mentioned like Chicago. We talked about New York, Los Angeles, like Anaheim or something like that. You know, or maybe even like Texas, like different areas. Are you like do you think going back to Vegas is better than just like trying some other venues, or what do you think, Andrew?
Um, yeah, I mean, the venue itself I thought was really good. Like being in the Venetian, it's a very nice hotel, casino. I mean, not just for the event, the event hall was great, but like it's very accessible for all the stuff like that we did at nighttime. And I mean, the location's great. Um, Vegas, I mean, lots of good places to eat. I mean, seeing shows was fun. So there's like stuff to do outside of the event, which is, I guess, the contrast when I think about like the other events we've been to. I mean, I guess like we went to Minneapolis, which was cool, but we didn't really like do much outside the event.
Well,
I mean,
it was scary to go outside. So
I mean, I
Yeah.
threw Michael into an oncoming death trap, so
Yeah, we didn't pick the best
yeah,
neighborhood to stay in, I guess, but or it's like, Richmond, it's like there is fun stuff to do in Richmond, but I guess as we were there for such a short amount of time, it was just kind of like whatever. Um, every other PQ we go to, I feel like it's just like we're leaving immediately after. So I think it was cool that there's other stuff to do. I think it was interesting, like why they chose, yeah, Vegas on like the west coast of the country, because like I'm sure there are lots of good players on the west coast, but it seems like it's very more popular in like the south and the east coast. So, but yeah, I think overall it was decent. What about you guys?
yeah. I mean, on the East Coast note, I feel like half the top 8 of the event was like originally from the Northeast, right? So it's definitely a
Yeah,
popular and competitive area for most card games. But I mean, I think Vegas is probably as good of a city as anywhere else. Like, you need to pick something that international players can fly into easily. I assume Vegas is good for that. Um, but I think it could have been any of those cities, right? Like, Atlanta's probably fine. Like Chicago, like Duncan said. I
yeah, that
think an
makes sense.
upside, yeah, for FFG is if you know you're hosting it at the Venetian next year in the same spot. I mean, they could probably expand on what they already did this year. Like, they know exactly what the space is. They know how the turnout was. Like, in theory, next year should be even better than it was this year. So that should be cool. And
Yeah.
it's not like Vegas is a dull city. Like, I'm sure we can find stuff to do next year too.
Hmm.
yeah, it's fair. I mean, there was even outside of the event, like there was so much that we did. I mean, we went to you guys went to shows. I went and tried some like fine dining restaurants. Went ahead and what do we went to karaoke. We went to a $60 gag shop that was not a gag shop on Monday. Dude, we walked into this place. It's called the Omega Mart, and we're sitting there, and it's like $60 to buy your ticket. And I'm like, we're in there, and it's just like a gag shop. Like it's almost like you walk into like a Spencer's type place with like gag items and all that. And I'm like, there's no way Andrew just made me pay $60 to walk into this place.
Maybe I did.
And I was like, I just got like trolled here because that seems like something that would anybody on this team would do to me. And that wasn't what it was. It was a lot more fun. And if anybody is back in there next year, take an Uber over to the Omega Mart. It is a trippy place. Area it's like Area 15, I think it was like the whole area the zone. Super fun place. Um, but I mean, outside of the game, just like the team bonding, doing all the stuff with our families, going to shows, I think is like great. Maybe it's a better place than Los Angeles or those because it's just more condensed for all of that.
I
So
mean,
maybe that's
everything's
better.
better than Los Angeles, so
Are you just like anti-Los Angeles
One
sort
of
of thing?
the,
not a huge fan of
are you
Los
not?
Angeles personally.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. All right.
I mean, and there's definitely worse cities. Like, I know some of the recent Flesh and Blood Pro Tours, or maybe not recent, but like one was in Baltimore and one was in San Francisco. And you have all these like European players flying in and like literally just getting robbed. Like, their cars that they rented are getting
Jesus,
broken into
that's
in
horrible.
both
Holy.
cities. And they're like, America is the worst place of all time. So
They
Vegas
didn't.
is probably better on that front, at least.
That's really bad
That's fair.
confirmation bias. They're like, all I know about is
Yeah.
Baltimore. I watched The Wire to come over here, and then they get
Yeah,
robbed.
right.
They're like, I knew it.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, we also the first Pro Tour was in Jersey, and that wasn't much better for where, especially where we stayed. So
I
we
don't
were
think
right
they
on the
got
fence.
robbed as much though.
It's fair.
I didn't hear any robberies in the first one, so maybe that's like a
Yeah.
recent thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably better just for everything being condensed and like all the stuff you can do there. You can lose a lot of money, and we all went ahead and lost a little bit of money gambling. Probably won't do that again next year. That's not true. We probably will. Um, but yeah, I think if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put it for this event, Andrew?
Are we talking about like Vegas specifically, or just
Well,
overall
just like the
experience?
overall experience, the event itself for Worlds.
I would say like an 8, solid 8. It really exceeded expectations, I think, was the big part for me. Because honestly, like the fact that like FFG's messaging on like a lot of the prizes and like making like they had like top 16 promos and store showdowns or PQs in season 1 or something. I don't remember what it was. And they were like, "Oh, we don't have enough stuff for top 16." You're like, "All right, well, that's weird." And like kind of feeling like they're rolling back stuff, and like a lot of people didn't get their like what do you call them, the initiative tokens for like ever, and then showcases had to be mailed to them or whatever. It just kind of felt like that, with the conjunction with lack of messaging, is like they just didn't care about a lot of the OP stuff. So I think expectations for this event were like, I mean, I was expecting to have fun, but like in terms of their production and things, it was pretty low based on. I mean, I wasn't at Denver, but like I've talked to a lot of people that went to Denver, and like that was pretty mixed, I think. And so I think I was just like not really thinking about it. So I think they really exceeded all those things from pricing to production. That was like surprising and like very enjoyable, I think, overall.
That's fair. I didn't even realize, I forgot that we didn't even talk about like the side event lines. We like briefly touched on it, but the line fiasco and the prize wall fiascos. So before I get
Yeah.
your overall about the event, I do want to just some like if FFG is listening to this at all, uh, somebody over there needs to have like a little switch in their brain. If somebody comes up to you and says, "I want a stack of a promo or of a card on your prize wall," take 2 seconds to like flip that switch on and be like, is this a problem? The fact that somebody's buying 40 to 80 of this card?
100 super laser blasts.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not even like this isn't like a, oh, we didn't have enough problem. This is a one person basically bought those cards because you could buy the tickets. For anybody who doesn't know, that you could go to the ticket counter or to like this event place, get the tickets for, I think it was like five, I think it was 100 for $5 or something like that, and then turn them in. And Super Laser Blast were only 200 tickets. Somebody bought, from my understanding, like 80 of these things, and it's like then they were selling them. So you spent $10 for a card that you're selling at the time was like between 100 and $150. I think it's still holding around 100 right now. So they just made like a insane profit margin on this card, and it's like nobody sat here and was like, "Oh, somebody wants 80 of these." Like this is nobody like correlated this thing here. This like this isn't a problem to anybody. So I would just ask that people like flip that switch on, the common sense one. But I also think that the prize wall for how small it was should have just been that entire back wall. It should have just been, well, there was like a lot of a dead space as soon as you walked in. There was like the to the left there was that open wall space. That should have just been the entire prize wall. Just, I don't know, like 10 tables length of the prize wall with duplicate prize walls, so you have people that can go up there and just make it so much easier. Um, then you would avoid this like 2 hour line people had to sit in, get up there, not get what they wanted, and just the whole fiasco there. But personally, that's like something I didn't interact a whole lot with. I had a roller coaster of emotions just because I wanted my Vader showcase of, there's no showcase, that we've got plenty of showcases, to there not being any showcases, to someone saying because they got the last one, and then getting to the front and saying, oh, I think they just restocked them, and managing to get
All
it.
right,
So
we'll stick a pin in this because I have an anecdote. But Michael, you go.
yeah.
I'll circle back to this.
Uh, so with caveats, I would give this event a 10. And I have 3 caveats. One, my expectations were extremely low going into the event. Like Denver was described to me as a sad cafeteria, and then Richmond and Minneapolis were like fine.
Jeez.
Number two, like I didn't have to deal with the side events at all, right? So There was a lot of very fair frustrations with the side events and the prize wall that didn't impact me, but should probably lower my score. And then 3, like I did very well, so I'm kind of riding like an emotional high with this event in particular. But I thought it went well above my expectations, at least.
All right, pulling out that pin, Andrew. Let's pull it out. Unleash the beast.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to say for the prize line. So day 3, I hop in the prize line, and I walk in the hall. I get in line. The first thing DeCreasy does is walk up to me. Doesn't say
Yeah.
hello to me. Just says, "What are you doing? You're standing in this ridiculous line. This is insane. You're not gonna wait in this line. What? I'm gonna go watch the guys
All
play."
right.
Da, da, da. And I was like, "Okay."
It's a very decreasy thing to do. Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I want to like get. Amy wanted a mat, and it's like wanted to try to get stuff, and I was like, I'll just wait. It's whatever. It's fine. And so this line was like, if anyone's seen like people on social media posted like videos of how comically large this line was or whatever. And so I was in the line for like like an hour and a half maybe. We were like kind of close
Wasn't
to the
that
front,
long.
and then DeCreasy came
It
back.
wasn't that long.
DeCreasy came over and was
It
like,
wasn't that long.
It wasn't. It wasn't even a full
I'm gonna hop in
round.
with you now.
It wasn't even a full round.
And
That's-
also, I will say that was me for an hour and a half, and the ending point from when I started was backed up, and from when I got the front was way farther back.
It wasn't.
Way farther
It
back.
wasn't even
It got
that
longer
long.
the whole day.
Yeah,
Like it never
That
got
part's
shorter.
true. It did get long. I think people were like scooting chairs. You didn't wait an hour and a half and then I joined you. That's not what happened.
I did.
You didn't.
I did.
It wasn't even a whole round.
Yes.
The
I
round.
feel like you started your timer at like the beginning of round 1 and then went to him at like the end of round 2, and you're like, it hasn't even been a round, dude.
It was at the end of round. It was at like the middle to end of round 1 that I went back to see him.
I think that's
I've
fake
heard
news.
about this.
That's
I don't
not
think
even-
that's
Yeah.
true.
Get out of here, Brandon. That's not
I think
fact.
I think I get credit for
Yeah.
the showcase. I think
He
I
does
deserve
get you
credit
do.
for your-
Well, you
your
also got
showcase.
credit for making me go through this roller coaster of emotions because I get back to you and you're like, they're out of
Yeah.
showcases.
Well, this is karma, though. This is the universe punishing you. So DeCreasy walks over. Somebody, like multiple people, non sequitur to anything, were like messaging me on Discord and also just chatting with me as I walk by. They were like, "Oh, the Vader showcases are out." Like I'm not asking anyone this. No other information, no other items in the whole prize wall. But like I get this from multiple people. And so DeCreasy comes over after his like hour and 45-minute jaunt or whatever, and I guess I was paying him back because similarly to his like very blunt opener, I just opened with, "By the way, all the Vader showcases are gone," which is not the way I should have. I could have soft landed that a lot better, but I didn't want him to have this build up and then we get to the front and then he's like, "Can't wait to get the Vader showcase," and then like they're all gone.
But which happened anyway.
Yeah, so he's just fucking fuming, and then and then at the same time Xander is like coming by like the line chatting with us, so I pull him over, and I was like, "Hey, like we've been hearing like the Vader showcases are gone, like do you have any like feedback on that?" And unequivocally Xander goes, "Oh no, absolutely not." He's like, I just talked to the manager. We have so many Vader showcases. Like it's a non-issue. Don't like. He was very confident, and I was like, all right. I mean, Xander probably knows better than anybody here, right? Like, what's going on? And so we were like, okay, cool. And then Creasy's like reassured. We get up to like the very front of the line, and this guy leaves the prize wall, is walking towards us, looks irate, and just comes up to us and just goes, "All the Vader showcases are gone." And that's the only item he talked about, like just directly to DeCreasy. And he's like,
I don't even know this
devastated
guy.
again.
Don't even know this
we
guy.
have no idea his. We're not even making eye contact. He just comes straight up to us. We're in this line of like 1,000 people, and he goes, "All the Vader showcases are gone." And he goes, "Slim pickings. There's just not much left, but specifically the Vader showcases are gone."
Yeah.
And so that happens. DeCreasy leaves, and before DeCreasy can even emotionally recover from this guy, someone like 5 feet to the right of us turns to us and goes, "Yeah, man, tough break. I got the last Vader showcase, and he like holds it up.
She looks right at me, and I'm like, this just can't be real.
I was like, this is, I was like, we're all disappointed, but I was like, this is hilarious, like how this is lining up. Like this is like we orchestrated this. This is absolutely ridiculous. And so this is like the last straw. And DeCreasy goes, I'm going. So DeCreasy marches up there. He's like, I want to figure this out. Marches up there, and then comes back, and he's like, oh no, they have Vader showcases.
It was a
And then
roller
we
coaster
ended
of
up getting
emotion.
them.
It was a roller coaster.
It was so in the moment it was really annoying and frustrating, but like when you take a step back and you think about the sequence of events that happened, it was like they planned this, and that's the moral of the story. Is that's what you get for making fun of me and cutting in line. That's karma.
I said hello
For
before
2 rounds, by the way.
It wasn't 2.
You left him there for 2 rounds.
I didn't
I
leave
think
him
it might
there.
have been 3 rounds at this point. I lost.
Yes.
It might have been the whole day, Who knows at this point? Jesus Christ. I can't with this team. I hate this team so much. All right, next topic.
Are you even on the team? Didn't my dad fire you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm off the team. I'm just doing this is public for everybody. I am been kicked off the team. I'm just here for it's a doormat to moderate the server. Anyway, so now that we've talked about the event, how do we feel about the meta? Let's talk about the meta of the game, right? Couple of questions here. Do you think is it enjoyable to you? And do you think it's very healthy? And we have they didn't say there were going to be any bans last week because they were all going to Gen Con. Um, I assume nothing's going to happen this week either. Do you think something will get banned or should be banned? Let's start with you, Michael.
I still feel like force throw should be banned. Um, is the meta healthy overall? I mean, the meta feels like diverse enough, I guess, in the sense that there's a lot of force throw decks that you could play. I just think I don't know if there's a good reason to play a non-force throw deck still at this point. I'm trying to look how many different decks I actually played against at the tournament. I think it was 8-ish, like 7 or 8 probably. Like I didn't play a ton of mirrors, but I feel like every single time I played a force throw mirror, like if you drew 2 more force throws than your opponent, or my opponent drew 2 more force throws than me, I think I always lost and or won that game. Based on that, it's just like, I mean, I think it's too good. I mean, force throw has always been a very good card, and now it's just too much of a free roll because being a force unit isn't the tax that it used to be. I've seen people say that if force throw gets banned, force lightning has to get banned too, which I don't really agree with. I think force lightning is still a pretty fair card. Like, what amount are you playing force lightning for? Where you're like, man, that was really broken. Like it scales from open fire to vanquish. Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, it does turn stuff off, but like, so does no glory in a better way. So I don't know. Other than that, like, I could see the concern that if you ban force throw, maybe we just go back to like a Kira data vault meta, but it's kind of hard to say with how much of a backseat blue green has taken at this point.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, my biggest fear is, I mean, I personally like blue green, and I like that coming back to prominence, but do we really want to be playing blue green and heroism and villainy mirrors like all day? You bring back Ray, Data Vault as well comes back into the limelight. You have, I could see red green lists, like red green heroism lists coming into the limelight as powerful decks, and we just have these like mid range battles, and some of them just are incredibly grindy, and you'll see a ton of people go to time, and Force Throw kind of keeps that in check. I feel like. I have seen some discussion about like erratating Force Throw to be only your opponent's cards, and so you can't force throw your own cards. Instead, it has to be your opponent's. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like they've taken a hard stance on no erratas, right? Like they talked about that with Boba originally, so it's like even if it's theoretically right, I just don't think they will.
Sure. I mean, So if they don't like, it seems like so weird to. The card's not particularly fun to play against, but I mean DJ wasn't fun to play against, and they let that ride out an entire season. So I could see this being a similar situation to DJ, where you just kind of let it exist. But if they do create an errata, it's a matter of like that's the first precedent, and then it opens the door for that precedent going forward to where you could have that. And I think that that's probably healthier in some situations. I've also heard the idea of like limiting a card rather than having three of it. You like sort of take
Like
the Yu-Gi-Oh approach.
restricted or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that approach because
Yeah.
then it feels like one of the things when we played Yu-Gi-Oh is, Call by the Grave, or one ofs in decks. If they just had it, you just like felt terrible. And it's like, all right, you just sacked your way into a one of, and I don't know. That just didn't feel great. But yeah, what do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything Michael said. I mean, other people have said things like Express Force Throw would be an issue before this set, like Alex Blandon and other people. I think Michael and other people have said, if Force Throw was created in this set, it would have been like use the Force and do its thing. I think that would probably be more reasonable. But it's just like costing one, I think is it's just crazy. It's like Michael said. I mean, there's a diverse enough meta with different decks that can utilize it, which is nice. But a lot of the mirrors just feel like really swingy and just kind of like YOLO, like who draws their force throws versus not, which is like kind of a bummer because I feel like a lot of the interactions in this game are a little bit, I mean, before now were a little bit more nuanced. But I mean, it just kind of is what it is. Like, you know, FFG wanted to be a force deck, or force meta, sorry, with all the new units, and they wanted like it to be strong and like people play the new cards and people play force throw, which happens to be like the best card in the new set. Maybe you could argue Kia D, but yeah, I think it just kind of it is what it is. And then over time, like once next set's introduced, like there might be some more viable stuff, but I think they probably should ban it. I don't know if they will because they seem very like results oriented when they've discussed bans and such before. So it seems like I mean, I think they've specifically talked about like win rates and top 8 percentages and stuff like that. So if they're going off of that, I wonder if they will actually do anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Sauce made a good point in chat here, is that there is a card in the new set that has to be errated anyway, or they need to like fix it before they print it. Um, so if anybody's not familiar, it's the card When Has Become Now. And so it's a one cost villainy card that says play a card with plot from your resources, paying its cost, period. Put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. And so the part of this card that's obviously very weird is if you do so portion doesn't exist there. So you do, in the way the game currently works, is you do as much as you can on the card. So if you can't play a plot card, you're basically ramping for one resource. And if this is, I don't know where they are in their production in terms of cards being printed, or if this is submitted. Like I don't know where they are. But if this is already set, then they have to errata this card because there's no world a 1 mana ramp spell can exist. That's just like, as a ramp fan, there's no way. That card is absurd, like bonkers. And if that's going to be errated, then this can be errated. But it depends on where they are in the process if they're going to go down that route. Um, and side note, hello Daniel from Spain. Hello from the East Coast, United States. Um, so yeah, I think an errata seems more reasonable in my mind if that's going to be a precedent or that's going to happen.
Do you think those are the same level of errata though? Like I feel like errataing the new card, which either does need to happen or they need to ban it, is kind of making that card like do what the common sense interpretation of it is, whereas errataing force throw is like, at least what we talked about, a huge functional change on the card. Like you can never read force throw and know that you need to use the force token, for example, or you can
Right.
only target your opponent. Like it's a much bigger difference.
Yeah, I think it costing 1 is just like it's just so far above rate, right? Like what it
Yeah.
does in this game for 1 resource. So it's like even if you had that, it's like I don't even know if that would make it that bad, really. I think it would still just be like the best card you can play, right? Just because it costs 1 resource.
Do you think a cost change would be better than changing what the card does? Like, we all agree that it's way too efficient for what its cost is, but if that card, I mean, people have even played that card off aspect for 3. Is 3 like much more reasonable? Like, you're now getting into the power of dark side territory.
I
I
think
think
it's not great at 3, personally.
yeah, it's not great at 3. I think in this meta, like very specifically too, it's like I mean it's broken at 1, but like you have Han that can play something under curve for 1, and so like you can play the card you want under curve and force throw. Like I think that's just one example of like why it's like so busted at 1, right? And then it's like, would taking it to 2 be enough? Like, would it have to go to 3? Like, I don't know. But 1 clearly seems like, you know, excessive.
Yeah, and of course they could have just gone ahead and fixed this by just printing force throw, saying and like banning the original or suspending the original, printing a new one that said use the force. That just like kind of fixes that problem or makes it more reasonable to a sense. I think, but of course that's not what we got. Um, yeah, it's interesting because the what it would go ahead and do is is quite interesting to the format. Because in theory, like we said, you'd have the blue green decks come back into prominence, or like these longer grindier games, because they're not just being destroyed by hand hate. But at the same time, I don't know. It's an interesting problem. I think we've given. I think a lot of people have given solutions, and I think it's going to ultimately be up to them to do it if they do anything. Um, I could see a world where if you didn't want blue green villainy to remain insanely powerful, you could. I mean, people have called for overwhelming barrage to be banned for years, or not years, but months, sets, whatever. Since that card's basically been in the game, people have hated that card. I could see a world where if you wanted to limit the blue green prominence, you can move that away as well. I personally don't like it because I like to play blue green. I like that card, but it's an interesting thing. So with that said, if assuming the format doesn't change and it just stays the same because that's the way it is currently, um, I think it feels fairly unanimous that I don't want to say unanimous, but it feels like the top 3 decks are probably Quinlan, Talzin, and Kylo. Or I'm sorry, Han's probably better than Kylo. I don't know. Do you think Han's
I
better
think you're
than?
missing the most important deck in that
Well, do you
in
think
that
Han's
list.
better than both Quinlan and Kylo? I'm curious what your thoughts are as
Yes.
as somebody who played Han and you know got thrashed by Quinlan. I'm just kidding.
Well, first of all, Quinlan sucks. All right, let's put that out there. That's not making my top 3.
How does Wu feel about this? Uh, can we get
I mean,
evidence here?
you hand that guy a ham sandwich, he's gonna beat me. So it doesn't matter. Quinlan still sucks. Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Han still has to be in the top 3. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of right now feel like it's like Han, Talzin, and like the Tarkin Town decks I kind of lump together, even though they are very different. I don't know. It's weird to me. I feel like Blue Green Villain should actually be in the format more than it is right now because I feel like Blue Green it's all of these non-Quinlan decks that are trying to prey on Han like really badly. And if Han's not doing that well, then I feel like Villain should be. But I don't know. That's why like I don't even know that something needs to be banned. I feel like the format's in an okay spot. It's just the play pattern. Like actually playing against force throw is kind of miserable sometimes. But like
Yeah.
I mean the meta's okay.
Makes sense. What do you think, Andrew? As the blue green villainy player.
Sorry, I stepped away to fix my light so I don't look like Darth Sidious. What was the question again?
How are you feeling about the what do you feel like the top decks in the format, the top three?
Oh, top
And
three.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with Michael. I mean, that's the results in Vegas, and if you play with and against these decks, I mean, that seems about right. Um, I mean, any of the force throw decks, I think, are probably like the best deck, and then some of the Tarkin Town decks can give Han like a hard time, or Talzine. Um, yeah.
do you guys feel that Tarkin Town is too powerful for the current game? Like it's predominantly ECL and Tarkin Town, right? Like those are the two bases that have been just way, like I don't want to say way more powerful, but it's like those two and then Data Vault. And Data Vaults is kind of an interesting thing. It's very specific, but
I mean, was Data Vault and ACL, were either of those really represented much in day three?
no, but that doesn't mean that it's not incredibly powerful in relation to other bases, right? Like Tarkin Town has been incredibly powerful for the archetype of decks that can support it. And I mean, we've seen Cad Bane play a mono yellow deck with just Tarkin Town and make it to the finals of regionals. So it's an interesting sacrifice. You're basically playing a one color deck to enable a base. You're losing five, like at that time it was 8 HP or 5 or 8 HP to play a base for just its effect for one use. Like, is that too powerful of an effect or no?
I mean, when force throws in the meta, I don't really think so, but
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking like a hypothetical where we ban Force Throw, should you also ban Tarkin Town? I would say probably not, because I think if you ban Force Throw, then like Data Vault will come back, and like I don't know that you need to also punish the Tarkin Town decks at that point. Like, if you ban Force Throw, do you guys think these Force decks would even exist anymore? Like, is Kiadi enough of a Force payoff for 2 HP and to change all the units you want to play at that point?
maybe in Han, only
Damn.
Han,
I mean,
possibly.
I like. I mean, I still think blue red is really powerful in general. Um, I mean, I've thought about an idea of like instead of getting rid of force throw, getting rid of Han too, like just the unit Han, the leader. Sorry. Um, the reason being is there are a lot of things that Han will enable in those deck in that color pie that accelerates the game and causes like problems. So like for example, going turn one Grogu into turn two Kiadi Mundi, move the damage over, or like turn one like Yaddle into Grogu into a Kiadi Mundi force throw like on the next turn, like that's like incredibly powerful and move the damage over at the same time. Like those are those seem like that seems like a way more problematic situation where you're accelerating the game sometimes than maybe just getting rid of force throw because the Yoda deck exists and that plays force throw also.
I feel like it would be weird to ban Han when like people successfully showed in Vegas that they could target Han. Like Han was one of the underperforming decks going from day one to day three, and like we did make it into the top eight, but like I don't even know that it was actually a good call for the weekend, right? Like the Kylo decks preyed on it, Talzin was preying on it. It's like just banning Han feels a little weird, although I could see the argument where it's like, okay, you ban Han, so Kira isn't getting pressed as much. Kira can come in and deal with the Talzins or something, but I don't know. It still feels like a weird ban to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. It's just something I like thought about, just how it accelerates the game and creates some awkward situations. But maybe it's not a better situation, better option. Um, but there's a lot of different things that we could see.
But
Um, maybe nothing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So because you guys played Blue Green Villain in Vegas, right?
Mhm.
So if you guys could go back knowing exactly what the tournament meta is, would you play the same deck that you played for Vegas, or would you change?
I'll let you start, Andrew.
Um, I mean, I definitely could have made day 3 if I played better, for sure. So that points to like maybe sticking with the deck. But I think just from like percentages, like I probably should have played a Force Throw deck, which means for me that'd be either Han or Quinlan in terms of reps, and like probably Quinlan just because that's like my second most played deck, and like that deck was virtually unchanged from set 4 minus like a few cards, so there really wasn't much to like learn. Um, so I think from a pure percentage standpoint, like probably slight edge to that, but I do think that I could have day 3'd if I had misboarded one match and made a couple minor misplays. But the thing with that is like, looking at it, it's like, well, is blue green villain just too weak? And the answer is probably yes, because it's like one misplay in like a match, probably shouldn't cost you the match. Whereas like if I was playing like, a force third deck, like you probably have a little bit margin for error because it's just a better positioned deck. Having played a lot of Kira, uh, yeah, I think that's how I feel about it.
Yes, I would play the same deck. My we talked about the weaknesses that my deck had pretty extensively, and that happened to be the round 5 match that I ran into, and I got knocked out of the tournament basically by the one of the few Vader yellows that were in the event. So I think it was adequately prepared for everything. And like the Talzin red player, so my first 2 matches were against uh, Hantu green, and that variant was not the same one that we had been testing. It had a force package in it, but it was also playing like Wreckers in the list and Cassian. So it was like a hybrid between the old Data Vault and the Force deck. So they were able to like timely Wreckers and timely like their Mace Windu's, and it's like it was a much more difficult matchup because Chirrut lost a lot of value in that matchup, where normally he's like really good. So being able to like just timely a Wrecker, kill the Chirrut, and then kill like my Talzin on the play is like it was like really hard to like battle through that a lot of the time. So that matchup wasn't quite what we had expected or what I expected to play against for the green version of that deck. And then I played against Hantu blue, and game 1 was really close, and then game 2 was just a severe like misplay and missequencing by me. I got ahead of myself in my head versus like actions on board, and I flipped my Talzin before activating her. He had a Chariot and a Internet Warrior on board with a shield on it, and I didn't activate Talzin to put a -1 on it, flip, attack, minus it again, and kill it. It was a 4/2 Internet Warrior, and in that matchup, I would have had 2 units. I would have 2 or 3 units on the board, and he would have had a Chariot, and I basically from then on was just on the back foot because I can't. It's not that I can't deal with it, but I just took like 8 extra damage. And in the Hantu blue matchup, you can't take a ton of. There's like an amount of damage that you can take before Crate Dragon comes on that you can. That's like a safe life total where they're still pressuring you. And I took too much damage. I was over the threshold. Um, but Talzin red, like I felt good into. I played against one later on. They triple force throwed me. They'd used force throw 3 times in both games before like before to resource 6. I got triple force through both games, and that was like brutal. And that happens. And then against Vader Yellow, like that, I knew that was my bad matchup. So would I play it again? Yeah. I mean, I think the deck did everything I wanted it to against the matchups I wanted to do it against. It's the fundamental flaw of it is space, and I it's so hard to like for that specific blue green Talzin to kind of have a good space matchup while having good being good at everything else. So knowing that there wasn't a ton of space, yeah, I'd play it again. I'd just have to play better. That's what it really comes down to. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that we all have some things we would change, but I do think my deck choice would be the same.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So now, while we were there, we'll move on to the next area here. There were some uh, there's information. There were several panels. I didn't get to attend any of them, but there were some panels for organized play and new sets. There were a number of different panels there in different halls or areas. Um, One of them was about the new organized play system for season one that's coming up, and we are now going to be in a point-based system instead of the all or nothing system that we had before, which I'm super happy about. And one of the things I felt was like pretty interesting there is that somebody had on SWU competitive SWU hub they had taken everybody that had played last season or season 0, and they took all of their points, and the number of people that were qualified was like, I think it was less than 350 people. I don't remember the exact number. Um, Whereas I think this time we had some, I think there were over 400 or 500 people queued. Not This isn't including people that went from day one into day two, not including any of those. Just like pure queued for the event. And I thought that was kind of interesting. What do you guys think about the new point-based system for, going into the new year? The top 32 for the points, where you get paid flight, paid hotel. What are you guys' thoughts on this, on season one's organized play system that they're implementing? Let's start with you, Michael.
I think it's a positive. I think there's definitely people like me, even some of us, right, that got qualified at the last minute. Like, if it had been a points-based system, a lot of us had done well in enough PQs that you probably would have qualified earlier or been less worried about it and stuff. I think the number of winners and sectors throughout the course of the year, instead of only having one set's worth, like we did for season 0. But I don't know. I mean, I think overall it's a positive. I'm really curious what the point threshold on the top 32 ends up being. Like, I think looking at that list, which wasn't entirely accurate, like it looked like at least Ryan and myself were in there from season 0, and I feel like I did not play the game that much. So I feel like it's going to be a lot higher point totals this year, but I think that's kind of the big reveal, and it's cool that they're paying for flights and hotels for the people.
Yeah, for sure. What about for you, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it's strictly better than the season 0 setup they had. I mean, the season 0 setup just felt very half baked and like rushed. It was just kind of, I mean, you had the pass down, I guess, but like it was just pretty feels bad to like, if you got, I mean, I got second in 2 PQs,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
you feel, some sense of satisfaction and like, okay, I'm like playing well and whatever, but like at the end of the day, it's kind of like binary, right? You either get the invite or you don't. And the 2 I played in were in early January. They got second, so it's like there were not that many people we knew that even had PQ wins. I think by then.
Yeah.
No.
So it was very competitive and not as many pass downs and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, so it's like it's a very mixed emotion thing when you are in that situation. It's like both of those, they were 3-game sets and like very, very close. And they were like, it was like a very fun experience, but you're still like, oh man, like just needed to like win one more game to get the invite. And like fortunately, like we're in a position where I was able to go to 3 PQs in the month of January, and like I ended up winning the third one. But like a lot of people don't have that luxury, right? Whether it's time, ability to travel, whatever. So it's a very crappy, poorly executed system in my opinion. Like when you talk to like the majority of people that play that aren't as like hardcore about it as we are. So I'm really happy for like most of the players. I think this will be like a really positive impact because it's like Michael said, it's like we and our friends, people we play with, we would have got invites no matter what, right? it just eventually would be a non-issue. But for a lot of people, like that's not the case. So I think it's great for someone that like can only go to a couple PQs or whatever, and like they prepare really well. They like top two of them, or top four, a few of them, or whatever, or top 32, like a regional. I forget the exact number breakdown, but like it seems a lot more like manageable and a lot less like luck driven. And like you get rewarded more for consistency, and like you don't have to commit like your all of your free time to like grinding these events. So I think from an accessibility standpoint, I think that's pretty positive.
Yeah, for sure. And Ian in chat also made something that I also share is, I'm curious. They are rewarding consistency on some point, on some end, but I am curious. 15 points for top eight. How many? That's what, six, seven. You have to top eight 7 events,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean that's I guess like in the grand scheme of, we have an additional, what, 2 months of PQs from last time, and the first set, when the first season of PQs, there were way less than what they eventually, like, we had more in sets 3 and 4 for
Yeah.
PQs. So we get 2 months more, plus we're gonna have more PQs in general. So um, seven top eighting 7 PQs in a year probably isn't so outlandish. Um,
It's kind of a
because
lot, I think,
Yeah, I
for a
mean,
lot of
I mean,
people.
no, I
That's
agree. I
not
agree for
bad.
that's a lot, because some
For
areas are
us,
only
that's
gonna.
not a lot, but like for 90% of the people that play this game, I think that's an absurd
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, no, I agree. And we're very fortunate that on the East Coast we have a lot within several hours, right?
Sure.
Probably within like 5 hours at the longest. We're very fortunate we have a lot of them. I haven't looked
Yeah.
at the West Coast because obviously I'm not over there, but asking them to have as many PQs as we have over here, like it's very possible they just don't. Um,
Yeah.
and I
I
don't
think
know how
when
you solve that.
sorry, I was trying to jump in. I recall a conversation I had with like Alex Blandon when they first talked about this system, and I think he and some other people echoed the same thing, which is they're like, oh, I imagine like getting the invite will be the equivalent of like a win and a half or something, or win and a quarter or something. So I guess that's the only thing, yeah, maybe that I wonder if the system would have been a little bit better, to Ian's point of like weighting top eighting like a little bit higher and weighting a win a little bit less. So you have to like get a win and a top eight or a top 64 of a big event or something. Because like if you're playing that much and you're winning, it's like you don't mind going to another event. Whereas the people that don't have as much free time, like that could be a lot harder for them.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good points in chat about. I mean, Ashley's talking about Australia, but really it could apply to any area that's not like as densely populated as the East Coast of America.
Mhm.
Like I could see someone like Doug Lee top eighting 7 PQs this year, right? Like we
For
might
sure.
get to play in 40 PQs if we want to, but like
Yeah.
if you have 8 PQs all year, then top eighting 7 of them is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do think it's at least a positive, but it doesn't help the people in these sparsely populated areas. But like,
Yeah.
if you get halfway through the year and like maybe you've got a PQ top 4, a PQ top 8, and you like day 2 to sectors, at
Right.
least you're at like 55 points and you feel like you've made some progress this year, as opposed to being like, hey, I think I've had a better year than last year, but I have literally nothing to show for it. So
Right.
I
And
do
that's the
think the
thing.
points are a positive.
Yeah, and to circle back to my anecdote from earlier about my sequence where I got my win, like all three of those PQs too, I was able to drive to. So like,
Yeah.
not I didn't even have to like book a flight or whatever, drive 8 hours. I think the longest drive was like 5 hours, and it's like, yeah, where we're geographically located and having the free time and having the ability to travel, it's like we're very fortunate. But like a lot of people, yeah, they don't have that by virtue of where they live or their lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they could definitely, it's better than season 0, which was just half baked and not thought through at all. But I think they could make it a little bit more accessible, Because I think like the other thing we learned from Vegas is like we sort of saw like a little bit of a downturn in attendance for events leading up to Vegas. Like I remember talking to people that were like, I'm skipping Minnesota because I'm doing Vegas, which is
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
So it's like I think now we know how much they put into Vegas and the production and the prizes and et cetera, and people go literally just to play in the side events and have fun. I think that a lot of people a lot of people before in season 0 and even more now would be more interested in getting the invite just to go, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I agree with you. I think I like your idea of like raising the top eight and then lowering the finalists. I think like 2, 4, 6, 8 type thing, where you get 20 for eighth, top eight, 40 for top four, 60 for finalists, 80 for a win, and then you need that little like you then just need a little bit more, like another top eight would probably be more reasonable. Um, but I don't know. That's definitely an interesting thing that would have to be we'll have to be keep an eye on it to see how it pans out. We do have a year, but hopefully, areas like in Australia, um, it looks like Ashley had said in Australia they get 8 PQs this season. So, you know, is that what 32 PQs, and if say we had 4 seasons, or 4 sets from now till
Right.
Worlds,
Mhm.
three,
Right.
three, yeah, 3 sets. Sorry, thinking of
Yep.
after.
Yeah.
So 3 sets, you get 24 chances to get top eight 7 times. Like that,
Mhm.
that's pretty
One,
pretty tough.
one thing to point out though, and we don't know this because in very FFG fashion they like to surprise us at the last minute with things. But so season 0 we split the sectors and regionals between the US and Europe, right? But
Yeah.
now I'm wondering, are they going to have some of these sectors and regionals in like Asia or South America or I don't know, wherever. So if that's the case, then there are more of them, but they're going to be, spread across, the world a lot more. So I'm wondering if that, while on one hand will make it more accessible for people that didn't have a chance before, will it make it harder for like people in the US and Europe, especially in like the US where we're such a spread apart country, people that live in like, a not very accessible part of the country, is it going to be even harder for those people to get chances, to get points?
For sure.
Yeah.
And
I
it's gonna be
will
interesting.
say, yeah, about the like win plus something point. Like I think that would also hurt small areas, right? Where like
For sure.
you might only get 2 PQs
That's
that you
true.
can drive to. So it's like having to do well in both is tough. But I also
Right.
really like being able to sell the dream of like you can walk into this game store on a Sunday. If you run hot and win the event, you get to go to Worlds. And I think that's really cool. And when
Yeah.
card games take that away, I think it's disappointing for me.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah,
That does make
for sure.
sense.
Um, yeah, I mean it's like Wu said in chat. The organized play system, it is at least growing, or appears to be growing, which is really good for the game. I mean, it is a good game. We wouldn't be playing it if it wasn't. The community's great, and the direction that we're going is definitely a positive one, or it feels positive. The big question going into Worlds was the pricing. That clearly wasn't a problem, or it appears like it's not a problem. At least I know for me it wasn't a problem. Michael, I don't think it was a problem for you. Like top 64 got paid well, and the game itself feels good. So I think that the organized play is the last little bit that we get that squared away, and I think we're in a really good spot. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Um, and speaking of the growth and changes of organized play, we are actually getting finally limited PQs, and I believe it's also going to be introduced at big events, including Galactics. I don't know about regionals and sectors. We don't really have information about them, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them at those events. Um, I'm not the biggest proponent or person on limited, but I don't mind the idea of playing limited. I love playing cube. I know that's limited to a degree. It's a little more obviously more powerful, but um, I think limited PQs, like a lot of people really enjoy playing limited, and I think there's a limited PQ this weekend. Doug had told me there's one this weekend, and I know we're gonna have one at Games and Stuff on the East Coast. September, I think, sometime in September. It's a little bit away. I I think they're sealed, which is a whole other thing. I'm not huge about sealed versus draft, but what are you guys' thoughts about introducing limited into the competitive scene? Start with you, Michael.
I mean, I think it's a big positive overall. I agree with your last point. I don't love sealed. The limited PQs I've played in other games were draft the entire time, and I think that's a more skill-intensive format. But I think it's good for the game, one, because they promote limited so much, so that if you're designing 90% of the set for limited, then it makes sense that we were playing it at the highest level, or else why are you putting so much design time into it? But I think mixed format at Worlds is going to be great next year because it comes down to if you look at Magic Pro Tours, it's almost impossible to top eight if you don't do well in limited. So it kind of doubles the prep that you have to do for the tournament. Like it makes it feel kind of skill intensive in different ways. I mean, you can potentially play like a safe deck like Han2 this year and be like, I'm gonna go 5-3 or 6-2 with Han2, and I'm just gonna 3-0 the limited portion, and that'll get me into the top eight. I don't know, it changes the dynamic. I just hope that the limited holds up to the scrutiny of a bunch of competitive players. I feel like set 2 limited, for example, was not great, where you played Cad Bane or you played Ray for the most part, and or set 1, right? If you drafted Boba Fett with a bunch of ambush units, it was pretty good, right? And I get in set 3.
Yeah.
So I haven't played some of the more recent limited formats. I just hope that the designers are ready for limited to be on the biggest stage.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Andrew?
I really like playing draft. I think it's super fun. I don't know. I don't have the experience that like Michael or you guys do with limited and other games. Sealed doesn't. I don't know. Sealed feels very wonky to me. I mean, I guess it just feels kind of like a pre-release type format. It feels like
Yeah.
very, very swingy and like weird. I also just my anecdotally the LOF pre-release I opened 3 rare bases, and then in the the JTL pre-release I opened 2 rare bases.
Yeah.
And like that, if I went to a PQ and opened 3 rare bases,
Walking out.
that would be like I'd have to really like take a deep breath and not tilt from that. That would be pretty disappointing, I think.
That's what you would do. I would take a deep breath and walk out. There's just no way, man.
That'd be a lot of tilt to recover from, I think, to start the PQ day off. But I like draft a lot. I mean, my wife, that's like the one thing she enjoys about this game that we can do together. And she's really good at drafting. So I mean, she's better than I am at drafting for sure. So it's like that's great, but yeah, sealed with rare base slots. I like there's a limited PQ near us in a few weeks, and like I don't think I'm gonna go because of that, because that's just very like I don't know, unappealing to me.
Yeah, I know it's not the same per se, but it is sealed. It was the sealed pre-release. One of my friends had their pool, and they opened up 4 Grand Inquisitors in their sealed pool for the pre-release,
Pretty
and
good.
they were
The leader, right? Not
the leader.
unit.
Yeah, the leader, not the unit. No, the leader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They had 4 Grand Inquisitor leaders.
3
Yeah.
drops.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. That would be crazy. No, the leader. Sorry, the leader, and he was just unplayable. And he was
Yeah.
like, "I'm just gonna go home." And I was like, "Look, I just handed him a leader so he could like pick one of these, like play one of these that you want to play, because it.
So you're gonna get him DQ'd at the PQ.
No, I'm not gonna get him
I like
DQ'd.
that. I hope
Lordy.
you handed him another Grand
Yeah.
Inquisitor. Like, here, man, just play this.
Yeah,
Or
hand
he
him,
didn't even ask for it, and the judge just sees decreasing, passes you a card, he's like,
slide him.
you're both DQ'd. He's like, what the hell?
Like, I'm just asking him to look
I
at this
mean,
Grand Inquisitor in his deck. So
I,
yeah,
I will say, like, sealed does suck, but like Magic GPs and Flesh and Blood Callings, like events that were too big to draft the whole time were sealed during the Swiss. So it's not like it's unheard of, but you definitely are going to have some feel bad days where you show up and like your opponent's like, oh, look at my pool, and they show you 3 Keller and Vex, 3 Kiadis, and you're looking at your 3 yellow rare bases, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, well, I hope I don't play that guy like ever.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's also the difference between Flesh and Blood and Magic, right? Like Magic, obviously, there's no leader, so that doesn't have an impact, and you're just like color bound, right? And then Flesh and Blood, there's only 3 leaders, and you have access to all 3, and so like your
Didn't matter
variants.
though. Flesh and Blood limited, so like if you
Uh,
opened an uprising sealed pool and couldn't play
Sure,
Fi, you might as well go home.
I
Like,
don't disagree. That's like a different thing. But the thing was like you could play any of the leaders, right? We're
sure.
bound by the 6 leaders we open up, and if you don't get a good leader in those 6, then you're just kind of like screwed. And on top of that, if you get rare bases, which should be in the base slot, like it should not just be, oh, I can draft this as my rare. Like we have leaders, they're not in the rare spot, they're in the leader spot. Bases should just be in the base slot. Like that doesn't make sense why they're not. Um, but this is like it's just a problem that I see happening. And yeah, it's one of those things that I would rather it be draft. I know the limited PQs and Flesh and Blood we did were draft, and those were like way more enjoyable than doing sealed. Um, but I don't know. You maybe I guess like allow people to have access to any leader they want for sealed, and that probably makes me less angry. You know, the base obviously is annoying, but if I could play any leader I wanted to, then that probably makes me less angry off the variance because there's already an underlying level of variance in my pool. Now you just added an additional one to that, so maybe that's like different. But I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Well, the first one's this weekend. We'll see how that goes for people, how people enjoy it, and then I'll probably still go anyway because I have no life to the one in the games and stuff for this nearest. It's like an hour away. I just imagine I'll be driving as lay chauffeur, both you and your brother. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
I've been shopping around for other chauffeurs. Now that my dad kicked you off the team, he said it might be awkward. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
we're doing interviews right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interview. Do you want me to interview? You know, I've only been doing it for like 10, 15 years now.
Yeah, well, make sure you know it's gonna be up to snuff. You know.
Okay, make sure that they know how to drive. Make sure they know that you got to get lost sometimes to cause extra frustration. Don't
Yeah.
cause any wrecks, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. All right. So, but that's what I had for today. Anything you guys have for the events, for stuff coming up, organized play, anything like that that we didn't touch on that maybe you guys have want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh,
Awesome. Well, I do want to do a
feel
couple
very vindicated.
vindicated on what?
That's from last podcast saying Kylo ECL sucks. I'm just really glad that I didn't say Kylo sucks because that would have made me look stupid. But ECL
Well,
specifically, that deck sucks. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Kylo ECL. It is comical that Kylo ECL, where it seemed like that one was the most hyped up one, I think did the worst out of the 3 different Kylo variants that we saw of Tarkin Town, Data Vault, and ECL. Um, is quite interesting. I do have a couple of shout outs that I want to just go ahead and take a little quick time. We have somebody, Mo the Monster, is his YouTube channel. I would recommend checking him out. Want to shout him out because he helped us with getting cards for Galactics. He was really helpful in making sure that a bunch of our players had what they needed. Oh, Wu asked you if you have Kylo ECL, Quinlan, and if there's anything else, you know.
not until I play it, but And deck I'm winning with, I like to say sucks because it makes me look a
Han
little bit
too.
better. So
Han too.
yeah, dude. Like Rodney in chat said that deck sucks, so I got other people on that for me.
That's true. Rodney Stubbs, that deck does suck. Uh, congrats to Ophir and Ian. They're both in chat on top four and finals of the Galactics. Um, that was awesome. Those games were awesome to watch
Yeah.
all throughout the day. Really, really awesome. And shout out to Tada, first PQ win of the season. Of course, they probably don't watch our pod, but shout them out anyway. The Europeans betting on being our first Galactic champion. Um, and if anybody's in on the East Coast, uh, Tournament City Games up in Frederick, Maryland, on the October 4th, we'll be having a showdown, but it's also going to be a 1.5K tournament. Last time they had plenty of space, and it was a scaling tournament. It was a 1K that scaled with more attendance. Um, we'll have more information as it comes through, but that's October 4th, and I believe this is also going to be scaling. Um,
Mhm.
Awesome venue, tons of space. I mean, tons of space. You could probably have easily. We had what 50 people. You could probably have like 128 people in there pretty comfortably with plenty of space.
Yeah.
They sell singles, all that stuff. So Bobby, the owner, is awesome. So definitely shout out to them. And if you're in the area, October 4th, if there's no PQs going on, I recommend going out to that. Um, I will have the podcast on Spotify tonight, so anybody who's making a drive, if you're listening, you're probably listening to this on your drive to work or on your podcast. It'll be on Spotify, um, because that's the one I got it set up for. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming to hang out and chatting with us about Worlds, the new format that we're going to be living in here shortly, as well as where we're going. Everything looks really good for the world of Star Wars. Um, I know that a bunch of us are also gonna, try Riftbound a little bit, see how that game feels. It's fun as a side project right now. Um, but yeah, let me know, what if there's anything we may have missed in the comments, and we'll see you next weekend. Where we talk about more Star Wars and the future of the game. So, thanks everybody. Have a great night.